and welcome to Hypnotize Me, the podcast about hypnosis, transformation, and healing. This is Dr. Elizabeth Bonet, and I'm your host. This podcast is not a substitute for mental health treatment, nor should it be. If you need therapy or hypnotherapy, please seek a trained professional. I do hypnosis all over the world, so if you'd like to learn more about me, you can do that at my website, drlizhypnosis.com. That's DRLIZ hypnosis.com. Now on to our episode. Hi everyone, Dr. Liz here, and I'm so happy to be here this week. I absolutely love seeing the podcast grow, and I want to thank you all so much for your questions that you send in, your emails, and your reviews of the podcast. So continue to send them to Dr. Liz at drlizhypnosis.com. That's DRLIZ at drlizhypnosis.com, and I'll answer them either through a podcast episode or by replying back to you. Today's interview is with Rich Guzzi, and he is a legend in the comedy hypnosis field. He does 300 shows a year, so he is constantly traveling, and he's been doing these shows for over 30 years. He has incredible experience as a comedy hypnotist, and really just in hypnosis period, because he has to adjust all the time to whoever's on stage, who's a new person every night. So he talks about that process for us, and he gives thoughts on several different areas. We're going to learn what he does if someone freaks out during a show, his purpose and mission that continues to drive him to do hypnosis comedy shows. We'll hear a little bit about his training programs, and we'll also hear about the 4 types of motivation, his take on those, in terms of helping people change and transform whatever they want in their lives. So let's jump in. I hope you enjoy it. Hi, I'm here with Rich Guzzi, who does stage hypnosis and show hypnosis. And welcome to the show, Rich.
How's it going, Liz?
Great. It's a wonderful evening here in South Florida.
Fantastic.
So let's start with the question I like to ask most of my guests, which is, what was your first experience with hypnosis?
I guess my first experience was I was about 12 or 13, and I was at a party, and some other person at the party was, I guess, a practicing hypnotist, and attempted to hypnotize me at the party.
What happened?
It started working right away, and I really freaked out.
Really?
So, I totally freaked out because as soon as he said my eyes are getting very heavy and they're going to clamp down, and all of a sudden, boom, my eyes shut, and I started going nuts. And
wow.
I totally freaked out, and that was it. I got up, and I said, "Oh, this is really spooky stuff." And I never touched hypnosis ever again. I thought it was a real crazy thing. Then I became.
Did he hypnotize other kids? Like, was this somebody just at the party?
It was just somebody at the party, and he wasn't even that old. He was probably like maybe 14, 15 years old.
Oh, so he's a kid himself.
He was a kid himself, but It started working almost immediately, and I totally freaked. So to this day, I've never been hypnotized.
Really?
I've never been hypnotized myself ever.
That is hilarious. Okay.
I've hypnotized probably about 1 million people over the course of my career.
Wow.
And I've never been hypnotized myself.
You just stay away from it, huh?
Yes.
All right. So you've hypnotized about 1 million people. That's a lot.
Yeah, I've done about 300 shows a year for about 30 years in a row now.
Wow. Okay. So where do you do your shows? I know you live in Nashville, but where do you do your shows?
I basically travel all over the world doing shows. Every week I go somewhere. But what happens is, now that I'm older, I stick to the places where my friends are and places I really like to go to. And I usually do each club about twice a year. And I travel around the country doing these shows. And I help a lot of people too, because my show is kind of inspirational. Oh,
okay. So tell the listeners about it.
So what I think, hypnosis kind of gets a bad rap a lot of times, and it's never been really put on the map in a large way. So I kind of use the show almost like a lost leader because it's very non-threatening.
Mm-hmm.
people are going to come down and see their friends do goofy stuff, and it's a comedy show. It's done in a comedy venue.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what happens is I'll notice how the people will transform by the end of the night, and they'll say to themselves, "Hey, this actually is pretty cool. You can actually do a lot of good things with this. And, I can quit smoking, lose weight, rest of my life, maybe sleep better." So I try to add that into the show, but kind of covertly, and to make the audience a believer of hypnosis, and maybe a viable tool to make their life better later on. So we're trying to transform people into believers and put hypnosis on the map in a large scale way.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. How do you explain hypnosis to people who ask, how is it I'm up here on stage? And I don't know, what are some of the things that you make them do?
Well, in the show is obviously, it's a comedy show, so we make them do goofy stuff, right?
Goofy stuff. Okay. So right.
It goes from mild to wild. So we'll start off, it might be hot in the room. It's cold in the room. The person next to you is cold as well. Hey, you better rub the person next to you because keeping them warm, know? So if you have two burly biker guys next to each other and they're rubbing each other, obviously that's going to be hilarious because I'm going to push the envelope as far as I can push it. So Great. I'm going to say, oh yeah, rub all the cold spots, and then, these guys are rubbing each other and it's going to be funny. Then from that point, I'll say, oh, now it's getting hot. Oh, now you're starting to sweat. Oh yeah, they turn the heat on and now it's getting really hot. And then all of a sudden the guy will start taking his shirt off. The guy start flipping his shoes off, and who knows how far it'll go. And then they start fanning each other. And again, it's all to who you have sitting next to each other, how you can induce the comedy to make it really funny. It's basically fish out of water. You want to have people acting out of character. If I can make the big burly biker guy become a ballerina, that's going to be hilarious. If I can have a 75-year-old lady think she's a tough cop and start yelling at people in the audience, that's going to be fantastic because, again, she's acting out of character. Yes. So my job is to get the hypnotic subjects as deep as possible and then believe the scenarios I'm trying to make them put them through.
Okay.
So that's the show.
So do you have anyone that ever freaks out like you did when you were 12?
Every once in a while, you'll get a situation, and this happens with mostly everything in hypnosis multiplies by 3. So let's say you've had 2 drinks. Once you hypnotize, it's like I had 6 drinks.
Okay.
So everything multiplies and gets really out of whack sometimes. So let's say the guy's on some type of medication. He's got an antidepressant or something along those lines. He just took his medication, and all of a sudden now he's hypnotized, and all of a sudden, boom, he is zonked. It's like he took 3 times the amount of pills.
Oh, wow.
And so what happens is you can have sometimes some wacky adverse situation on your hands. And that's why I always tell people, if you're a stage hypnotist, you should also be a clinical hypnotist as well. You should be at least versed and know a lot about hypnosis on how you can handle every single situation that could potentially arise. Because over the course of a whole year, you're doing a lot of shows, a lot of stuff can happen. And you want to be prepared because remember, these people are your responsibility. You're opening up their mind to this new force, and it's your job to take care of these people. So make sure you know your business.
So if someone freaks out, what happens then? Like, does that often happen on stage, or is it generally they're pre-screened a little bit? Like, tell me the process of that.
Well, when it happens, and it happens actually quite rarely. It's not that big a deal. Yeah. But what I'll do is I'll actually fix the situation mid-show. So what I'll do is I'll snap them in really deep, get them all the way out, relax them, and then pull that person out of hypnosis seamlessly while the rest of the show is going on.
Okay.
And then once I pull them out, I also have an assistant on the show. My girlfriend is my assistant. She is also a very highly qualified hypnotist. And then she will take it from that point, take them into the audience again, take them in and out one more time to make sure everything's all good. And then that situation will be resolved.
Okay. Gotcha.
So we actually handle all the situations mid-show as the show is going on.
So you make sure that they're out of hypnosis and grounded, basically.
Correct. We put a lot of good energy stuff in there where they feel good about the experience, but we make it where they can't be hypnotized for the rest of the evening. Where they basically have like the antidote to hypnosis. They won't be able to be hypnotized for the rest of the night.
Oh, interesting.
Because a lot of times they can slip back into hypnosis very easily. Once they've been hypnotized once, it's boom, it's a piece of cake to put them back in. So they can be watching the show now, and all of a sudden you say something, stare into the light, snap your fingers, and all of a sudden, boom, they're out again, and now you're back in the same situation. So you don't want to have this. So you don't want to have the same thing happening over and over again throughout the entire night, slowing the show down to a standstill. So I'll make it where they're immune to hypnosis for the rest of the evening.
Oh, very interesting. I haven't heard that before. So that's
that's
wonderful.
a technique. Yeah, it's a technique. Most of my stuff is stuff that I've developed over the course of a long, body of work, to make the show happen every night as
Yeah.
seamlessly as possible, and then have everybody have the best experience for the entire evening. I want them to laugh hard, obviously, because it's a comedy show, but I
Mm-hmm.
also want them to get the benefits of hypnosis and learn how it can make their life better. So,
Mm-hmm.
all these things, all these facets needs to happen to make the experience where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm. So then, how did you originally start doing it?
I actually took some classes, some hypnosis classes, and then I was a comedian already, so I already knew how to have stage presence, and I knew how to do a show. But I didn't know how to do a hypnosis show. Then I took a couple of hypnosis classes, got a couple of hypnosis books, watched some videos, and I basically put a show together, and then started doing it. I know it sounds crazy, but
Uh-huh.
I was up and running in 6 weeks.
Wow, that
Yeah,
fast.
yeah. I took I took a 2-day hypnosis class
Uh-huh.
on how to hypnotize. I read a bunch of books, started practicing on my fans after my regular comedy shows.
Oh.
And then I put a show together, and I said, well, I had to do a practice show. Well, actually, what happened was I booked myself in a room that was a very big venue.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't do the show properly, I would look like an idiot to all my peers.
Mm-hmm.
So I really put myself under the gun here, booking this show in, when I shouldn't have done that because I didn't know what I was doing.
Uh-huh.
So I said, all right, I got 6 weeks to prepare. So I started reading all these books, took a hypnosis class. I said, well, I got to practice. I have to do a practice show in a place where if it goes belly up, nobody's going to know what happened. All right.
Yeah.
So you'll never work in Muskegon, Michigan ever again, one of those type of places.
Uh-huh.
So I convinced somebody to book the show in. They booked the show in. I do the show. And I did all the stuff like the guy told me how to do in the class. And I said, oh, this is all nonsense. It's never going to work. I'm in big trouble here. But I did what he said, and it actually worked. And I'm like, oh, man, this is amazing. I actually hypnotized these people, and I actually got the show off. Then I did another practice show in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
And then the big week comes along. I got the week because what happened was the original hypnotist got fired because his manager and him were on this other radio show. He trashed the owner of the club. The owner of the club got crazy, said, you're fired, never work it ever again. I would happen to be friends with the owner of the manager of the comedy club. And they said, hey, I had to fire, the other hypnotist. They got to find another hypnotist. And I don't even know why I said it. So I'll do the show for you. And next thing you know, I put myself under the gun and I had to do this show. So I guess it was a good thing because I learned so much about hypnosis and it changed my life in such a positive way that I'm so grateful that I was able to do this. Now I help so many other people in their life. It made me famous because now I'm the most famous hypnotist doing the shows, all over the country in clubs. I'm the number one guy. So it's been a very rewarding life. And now I'm going to show other people how to do it as well. I'm going to teach them how I did it. Now I'll bring my, a whole bunch of my other, I guess my army of hypnotists out there to show them how to make it happen as well and change the world for a better way too.
Oh, okay. So then now, when did you start doing training?
I just started doing training about a year ago.
Oh, so this is new.
This is brand new. So I went to a hypnosis conference and they asked me to speak at a conference, and the conference was packed because I was there. So I said, man, I didn't realize this was the case. Then a whole bunch of says, hey, other guys were like, hey, you want to train me? Show me how to do the show. So I started training people how to do the show, and now that's my thing now because I want to show people how to do the show the proper way to get the best audience reaction, to do a fantastic show, to give hypnosis a good light. I always, my big thing is always showing hypnosis in a good light.
Yes.
I don't want any more, and no more black eyes for hypnosis, because there's so many people doing it wrong and there's problems. What happens is just there's another black eye for hypnosis and it just keeps going down. So let's do it the right way and then give people an amazing experience, an amazing show, and then show them how you can change your life, make it so much better. All of a sudden now hypnosis the bar gets raised. And all of a sudden, now we're gonna show it in a good light, and all of a sudden, maybe now more people start using it for all these other things, like losing weight or quitting smoking, or just even sleeping better, all stuff like that.
Yes, yes. So when you're saying sometimes people are doing it improperly, right? And so stuff can go wrong. So how do you tell someone who wants to go to a good hypnosis show with, let's say, like an ethical practitioner or a practitioner who's really good, a comedian who's really good? How do you tell them how to find a better show?
Well, actually, that is kind of like right now, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is. I've seen a lot of hypnosis shows, and I don't really talk bad about other people's shows. But for me, a comedy hypnosis show is 8 laughs a minute. You know,
Okay.
I'm a comedy purist. So in other words, you go on stage,
Uh-huh.
the people laugh at 8 times every minute during that show. That's a comedy show.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you're doing a show and all of a sudden everybody laughs every once in a while, that's a hypnosis demonstration. That's
great. Okay, it's a good differentiation.
That's totally different. You're doing a demonstration. Hey, see these people? They hypnotize. Oh, they just picked up that pen and thought it was a rock. That's all right. I chuckled a little bit. That's pretty good. That's not a hypnosis comedy show. That's a demonstration. You know, and I try to show people, if you want to do a demonstration, that's fine. Do a demonstration, but don't do it in a comedy club where it's supposed to be, hilarious for funny. 8 laughs a minute. Right. Exactly.
Right. So then, people who are coming to your training, what are you finding? Well, actually, or what do you find even on the circuit? Is it comedians that decide to learn hypnosis? Or do you find there's a good segment of people who learned hypnosis first and were like, okay, I'll do a comedy show with hypnosis?
It's a little bit of both. I'm finding that if I get a hypnotist, I have to untrain a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. Because they learned a lot of bad habits, and because a lot of these guys have taken a lot of training before.
Yeah.
And we have to untrain them in these ways that are very, like that hypno speak. I can't stand that hypno speak. It drives me insane.
Oh, yeah. I have great hypno speak.
Oh, man.
It's slow. It's slow. Right?
Yeah. Well, it's great, for like hypnotic induction. You got to get somebody to quit smoking. Mm-hmm. But in a comedy show, I don't want to hear, oh, and then you're going to get very sleepy when I say the word red. When I say the word red, and all of a sudden it's gonna be very hot, and I'm like, oh man, you're killing me with this stuff. It's supposed to be a comedy show. Just tell the guy, listen, it's at the count of 3, it's gonna be really hot. And the guy next to you is fanning you. It's brutally hot. Oh man, you're sweating, and then just go right into the action. Tell them exactly what's gonna happen, and let all the hypnotic subjects be funny for you. Just start rolling with it.
Yeah. So how do you pick your subjects, the people coming up on stage?
Right. Well, for me, it's all volunteers.
Okay.
So I don't want people to feel like they're getting picked on. Mm-hmm. Also, it makes for better belief for the rest of the audience watching. If I didn't pick on somebody, then what's going to happen is, let's say I pick a whole bunch of people, then the audience members going to say, oh, well, yeah, he probably knows all these people. It's probably all staged. They're all plants, all actors. If I make people volunteer, and usually I'll take one person from each group, that way everybody in the audience is represented. Mm-hmm. That way everybody has somebody on stage that they know. Now they know it's not fake. It's all your people. Mm-hmm. When I do the hypnotic induction, I never dim the lights. Let them watch the entire thing and do a good job with the induction. Mm-hmm. And then from there, make the action start happening where they're doing some outrageously funny things, where they're acting totally out of character, where the people in the audience knows that there's no way that guy would possibly do that. There's no way it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, when they're doing it, the belief system goes way up. They really believe that hypnosis is real now.
Okay. And then what kind of feedback do you get from the subjects that are on stage? Like when they come out of it and they're like, oh my God, I would never do that in real life, right? Like, what did you do to me? Like, what is their general reaction and belief system around that kind of change?
The biggest one is always like the time loss. Like they always think like, hey, I've been up here about 5 minutes. Or I get people tapping me on the shoulder. Hey, when are you going to start the show? When are you going to hypnotize? When are you going to hypnotize? Yeah. I said, no, the show's over. It's an hour and a half. Like look at your watch, and they look at their watch like, oh man, how did an hour and a half?
Right. I get the same thing in my office. People think that they're under hypnosis for 10 or 15 minutes, and it depends on what type of hypnosis I'm doing. But sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes 30, sometimes it's 2 hours. It's like, no, you were under 2 hours, not 15 minutes.
They lose the entire time frame, and it's hilarious, And I always do that question because that's the one where the audience really believes now. Like, oh man, that guy didn't even know he was out.
Yeah.
And and you can see the lights turn back on. You see when they got that hypnotic mask and they're hypnotized, and all of a sudden when you take them out of hypnosis and all of a sudden their lights turn back on.
Yes.
And you can see the difference. Yes. So I always love using that. But the big thing for me is the benefits, because right before I end the show, I always do a good energy affirmation. So I use that as the emerging technique. Okay. So when I take the subjects out of hypnosis, I'll always do a good energy affirmation for everybody. So I'll say, I'm about to take these people out of hypnosis. If you guys want to participate as well, this is going to be good for you as well. Mm-hmm. So now all the people who watch the show, they say to themselves, oh, I wish I would have did this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do this part too. You see, everybody does the good energy affirmation at the end of the show. So they all get some of the benefit. So I'll do the good energy affirmation, and that's
what's an example of a good energy affirmation?
So what I'll do is I'll make it where every time you see a clock, any time telling device, it's time to make this hour of your life better than the previous hour. So every hour of your life becomes better and better. So what happens is in your mind, you match up that a clock tells time, but it's time to make my life better. Oh, that makes total sense to me. And it loops their brain where their life keeps getting better and better all the time. They have that positive attitude throughout the entire situation. So the entire audience gets that. The people on stage get that. And so I'll use that good energy affirmation, which lasts about, I'd say, 3-4 minutes. And so it takes them out of hypnosis and puts all the good stuff in at the exact same time. Plus the audience gets to have the benefit as well of experiencing a little bit of hypnosis, even though they weren't, didn't get to be on stage that night.
Yeah.
But then I take them out, and then here's where the good stuff happens. This is a story recently.
Okay.
I was up in Cleveland. Guy taps me on the shoulder. He says, I need to talk to you after the show because I feel absolutely amazing. But there's a larger story behind this. I said, no problem. I always talk to all the fans after the show. So after the show, he comes up, he waits for everybody to leave because I sign all the autographs, I take all the pictures, I answer all the questions. I want to make sure everybody gets a great feeling about hypnosis. Then after the show, he comes up and he finally talks to me, right? He goes, my name is Doug. He goes, I got stage 4 cancer. He goes, I can barely walk, yet my wife just showed me a video on the phone of me singing and dancing, moving around. I can't move like that. He goes, but meanwhile, I feel so fantastic right now. I haven't felt like this in years. Wow. He goes, I'm going for another test next week. I want to stay in touch with you because I want to feel like this all the time. So I actually had this pain management CD. And I gave him one. I said, please do this every single day because you can feel like this every day if you use this program. So he says, I'm gonna do it. So anyway, he contacts me a week later and says, I feel amazing now. He goes, my doctors don't understand, but the tumors you can't even see them now. He goes, I feel fantastic. He goes, I'm walking around. He goes, I took my dog for a walk. He goes, I've never been able to do that in the past 5 years. It just changed my life. Wow. And I'm like, this is the work that needs to be done. This is what puts going to put hypnosis on the map. And this is where, instead of giving hypnosis a black eye, puts a badge on us and says, here, this man over here, his life changed because of hypnosis.
Yes.
This is the good work.
I'm going to put on that too. Like that's his life changed due to hypnosis in a comedy show, right?
At a comedy show. Yeah.
And there's all kinds of research actually about medical hypnosis and reducing pain and all kinds of research that's even like double-blind studies and scientific that says how helpful it is, like how really incredible it is. And yet he got the benefit even from being in a show that's really meant to entertain. Right?
Exactly. And that's what this is all about. And that's why I train my new guys. I train all the new hypnotists out there that this is the work that needs to be done, because if you go around the world trying to do hypnosis demonstrations, you know what? A lot of people aren't going to listen to you. They're going to throw rocks at you, some of them. They're going to think you're a heretic. They're going to denounce it, all right? Because the way it is, all new ideas, all right? First they ridicule you, then they accept you, then all of a sudden they embrace you. But with a comedy show, it's non-threatening, so because it's supposed to be a comedy show. But you sneak in the good stuff. And all of a sudden now people's lives are going to be changed. And you know what? You don't know who you're changing. You could change one guy for the better. And all of a sudden you don't know what that guy is going to do. He's going to change the world. You help people one at a time. But, I do my shows 300, 400, 500 people, sometimes 1,000 people, 2,000 people on a cruise ship. I'll see 2,000 people a week when I do my comedy shows at comedy clubs. All those people are getting the information on how hypnosis can change people's lives. And if you do it in a good way and you don't give hypnosis a black eye by doing it wrong, then you're doing your part to make this powerful tool a part of people's lives. That's the good work right there. That's what you need to be doing. And I train all my guys. This is what has to happen. If you don't do it this way, then I'm not gonna help you, book shows in, and because you don't really deserve to be doing it in this fashion. This is for the people, the elite, who really want to do the good work.
Absolutely. Like I hear you. There's a natural screening that happens of, are you going to do this properly and well, and really try to help people with this?
Yeah, that's what should be done. Again, the first and foremost, you have to make the people laugh hard because they came to see a comedy show. So it's your job to make them laugh really hard. And that's your first job. That's the first order of business is doing that. But then the other job is to make people realize that this is a very powerful tool and you can make your life a lot better using it. So if you get the message out there in a good way, then like I said, you've done your job for the day. It's easier to get the hypnotic phenomenon done if I give them leverage. So I'm going to tell a person to quit smoking. Mm-hmm. So the normal thing is, you're going to live longer because you're going to be a non-smoker. All right, mm-hmm. That's the standard thing. Right. But remember, there's four things that move people to action. Mm-hmm. We all have all four, but there's one that's predominantly you. It's self-preservation, money, romance, and recognition. All right. So if I tell the recognition person that you're going to live longer by being a non-smoker, it might not work on this guy. Because I don't have the proper leverage on him.
Okay.
All right. What I need to tell him is, like, how many millions of people try to quit smoking every year? All right. You know how hard it is to do? People fail all the time. When you become a non-smoker, you're going to be able to puff out your chest and tell everybody, hey, I quit smoking like that. 1, 2, 3, one session, and I never smoked ever again. I did it. All right. Now the guy became a non-smoker. You have the proper leverage on him. Mm-hmm. If the guy was romance, right? You say, you know how much more romantically attractive you're going to be by being a non-smoker. Your breath perfectly clean. Your clothes smell perfect. Your skin's going to have a new brightness about it. You're going to be so much more romantically attractive by being a non-smoker.
Yes.
You know how much money you're going to say your money. You know how much money you're going to save? 2 packs a day is $10, $20 a day, depending on where you live.
Right.
Right. Over the course of a week, it's thousands of dollars every year. Yes. Over the course of 10 years, you could have bought a Ferrari for the amount of money you spent on smoking cigarettes for 10 years. The vacations you could have been on, the trips you could have done, the memories you could have made by being a non-smoker. That sells the money guy. Now, obviously, the self-preservation guy is a piece of cake. You can tell him he's going to live longer and he's going to be healthier by being a non-smoker, and you sold him no problem.
Yeah, right.
So it works in your therapy as well. You get the proper leverage on a person.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Motivation is
exactly. You get the subject deep enough and make the story real enough, you'll get a super high success rate with all your therapies.
Yes, and I'm putting together like an online, are you ready to quit smoking program, a little course that people can take. And one of the things in there is, what is your motivation? What is your top motivation? Like, what is more important to you than smoking?
Right. Evaluate the subject, and then sell them what they want to be sold. I always tell, hypnotherapists, you could be such a better hypnotist if you learn some stage, because the tools you're going to need to be a good stage hypnotist are going to dramatically increase your ability to hypnotize subjects and get the leverage on them to get the therapy done.
Leverage, you mean like it's not just telling the story, but it's also whether they're believing it.
Yeah, because what happens is, doing a hypnosis show, you have to spin so many plates at the same time. You're going to think on your feet because things go wrong every single show, and you need to compensate and evaluate and adjust to make the show happen every night on a major scale. You want to have an excellent show every single night. You don't have a crappy show. You want to have a good show every single night. So you need to be thinking on your feet and evaluating, changing your style all the time. And once you build those skills up, your therapy in your clinical practice is going to go up exponentially. You're going to be such a better hypnotist, and your therapies are going to be that much better. Your scripts are going to be that much better. Because it's all about your hypnotic scripts. Because doing a hypnotic script is exactly like doing a comedy show, but instead of getting laughs, you're getting results.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know when I'm in my office, it is all about the client and having to adjust that. And that's actually something that people will come out of hypnosis and say, how did you do that? Like, you put in every single thing we talked about. And I was like, well, yeah, that's why I'm a professional hypnotist. That's why I do this, because you have to think on your feet. You may have what I call like a starter script, right? Like sort of the bones of what you're going to say. But beyond that, it's the custom hypnosis that's really effective for people. And
absolutely.
Particularly what is their motivation? And let's match that. And let's tell the story that makes sense to them, that resonates with them.
I changed my hypnotic script for every individual subject. Every single one gets a different script. I have my go-to items,
Yes.
But if I'm doing a doctor, it's gonna be a lot different if I'm doing like the blue collar guy, who's working in a factory, because he has different words that mean something to him.
Right. Yes.
So I'll adjust my script depending on who I'm working with, male,
Yeah.
female, young, old, different demographics of people to change the thing around, to make it effective for that person, make the story real enough. Now getting the subject deep enough, that's a skill set in its own.
Yes.
But again, I always tell people, if you're a good stage hypnotist, you'll be a great clinical hypnotist easily. Your skill set goes up dramatically.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I interviewed someone a couple of weeks ago about addiction. She worked a lot with groups. So she would do group hypnosis. And she said a lot of her training actually came from show hypnosis.
Yeah, exactly. It's a game changer. Again, that's why I do my trainings. I try to train people to do this thing the right way. And once they do, you're going to notice how things just go up. Your ability to help people either through, a release of, stress and pressure by seeing a funny show, or just by, a therapy that they came in for, sleeping better, reducing your stress, fears and phobias, any of those things can be done very, very easily once you learn how to you think on your feet, and you can change your scripts accordingly.
Agreed. So we are getting to the end of our time. Can you tell people how to find your trainings or how to find a show?
Yep. The best way is to go to my website, richguzzi.com. It's RichGuzzi.com. If you Google me, you'll find me real easy. I have lots of social media and stuff like that. And
Google spells come right up.
Yeah. Google spells it out right for you. Like, man, I think I got 1,000,003 followers on Twitter. So we have a big presence on the internet. Lots of stuff on there. The programs. I got lots of cool videos. But all the training stuff is on there. Just click on the training button, and you can find out about how you can train with me and learn how to do stage or clinical stuff. We have both of those things covered. We'll train you the right way to make sure how you can really be a force in the business. Make the hypnosis business a better place for everybody, and really give success to everybody. We really want to show people the right thing. Yeah.
And if they want to see you in a show, are your event dates on your website as well?
Everything's on there as well. Or if you want to book me for a show, so let's say you have a company function. We do squeaky clean, corporate friendly shows. Okay. Anything you want. But like I said, the training's on there, the show schedule's on there, lots of tidbits about me, more information on me, all my crazy videos and stuff like that, all the stuff I've done in a 30-year career. It's all on there.
Wonderful.
RichGuzzi.com. You can find me, no problem.
Okay, and I'll put the link in the show notes as well to make it easy for people.
Yeah, fantastic. I'd love to help these people out. Like I said, all these young and up-and-coming hypnotists, and some of the older ones who want to learn some new stuff too.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Liz. It's a fantastic show. It was a great interview.
I hope you truly enjoyed today's episode. Remember that you can get free hypnosis downloads over at my website, drlizhypnosis.com, DRLIZ hypnosis.com. I work all over the world doing hypnosis. So if you're interested in working with me, please schedule a free consultation over at my website, and we'll see what your goals are and if I can be of service to you in helping you reach them. Finally, if you liked today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast or tell a friend. That way, more and more people learn about the power of hypnosis. All right, everyone, have a wonderful week. Peace.